Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another episode, guys. In today's episode, chapter 17, 17th chapter of the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Let's get it. Okay. So, chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will multiply you exceedingly. So one thing, like off the jump, um, it's been kind of a while before Abram spoke with God, right? Because remember, Abram had his first child at 86 with his second wife, Hagar, okay, which is Sarai's maid, but now his wife. And now he's 99. Remember, he was 86, and I think the Lord said he's gonna have your. No, he was 86 when he had Ishmael. So it's been 13 years since the last time the Lord spoke to Abram. So you know, and it just goes to show this little sentence right there, like it's like underlying. It just goes to show how good of a man Abram was. Or like he still followed God. He still listened to God even when he didn't come to him. And it's something that we can even use to us too. Like think about it. Last time the Lord spoke to him, he was 86. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and talked to him. 13-year difference. Okay, 13 years, but he was still the same man. And the Lord said, "Let me come to you." It's the same thing like us. Sometimes it's a while. It takes a while for us. Sometimes we haven't had. Some of us haven't heard the Lord, haven't heard from God in a while or ever, right? Sometimes we feel like we're not able to speak to Him. We can't communicate with Him. We're having a hard time. We need Him. But it goes to show, like a little example, that the Lord's always there. He's always watching, and He's gonna come back. But I'm saying for this specifically, it's been 13 years since He spoke to him. It's been a while, but it goes to show that Abram's still, following his faith, knowing that there's a plan out there for him. So we'll go back. So when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, quote, I am God Almighty. Okay, walk before me and be blameless. So he's telling him in his face, I am God Almighty. Okay, remember just a little quick one. Last chapter, when the angel came to Hagar, he never specifically said I'm the angel, just asked straight up, talk to her. But when the presence of the Lord, He will make it known, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. Okay, meaning be blameless as in you're perfect, without defect. Okay, walk before me and be blameless. Walk before me and be perfect. And I will make my covenant. Okay, I will make my new beginning between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face. Okay, and God said to him, Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. Okay, meaning father of the multitude. Abram, and I looked it up, Abram and Abraham, the meaning of this, because Abraham now, remember Abram now has got, the Lord said his name's Abraham. It's a Hebrew name because he is a Hebrew. He's Hebrew. And every name in Hebrew has a specific meaning. Okay? And Abraham or Abram, they're both the same thing. They both mean father of multitude. Because of this verse right here, it just says, you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your descendants after you. And I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojourning. So the land that you are, because remember, the Lord told him a couple chapters ago. He said, your people will be slaves for 400 years in a land that they are sojourning, meaning as in that they're only going to stay there temporarily. They're not going to be there forever, but they will be there from here to here to here to here to here temporarily, and they will be slaves for 400 years. And on the 400th year, the nation that's keeping you as slaves, I will punish them. Okay, so I'm giving the people that your descendants, your nations, the people that they're going to be slaves to, I'm giving them 400 years to be able to do the right thing. And if they don't, whoever nation's keeping you as slaves on that year, God's coming to them. So he says, all the land of Canaan, which is, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, which is kind of now Israel. And I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, okay, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So we, back in the beginning, okay, he been 13 years. The Lord came to Abram, walk with me, be blameless, be perfect, walk with me. He fell down on his knees. And to me, it just feels like, it's Abram saying like, dang, it's been 13 years. It's been a while. I haven't, it's hard, right? But he said, be rest assured, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of multitude of nations. So God's telling him what his plan, okay? And let's continue on. And God said to Abraham, remember, as Abraham, now his name's Abraham, as for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. It shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And it's talking about circumcised in the sense of every male when it comes to their penis. And that's what I wanted. God said that you shall keep my covenant. As for you, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations, this is my covenant. So this is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. It shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And the reason why he said that is because you're going to circumcise you and all your descendants, because it makes y'all different from everybody else. And because it resembles the covenant between me and you. He that is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring, both he that is born in your house and he that is bought with your money shall be circumcised. So we're saying everybody that rolls with you, everybody in your whole team, all males, chop it off. Okay? Circumcise. Slip it up. It says, so shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any circumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from this people, and he has broken my covenant. So he's gone saying, if you're not circumcised, you're out. You're not in the party. And so it says, and God said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. I will bless her. Moreover, I will give you a son by her. Okay? Remember, this is what she wanted. Sarai really wanted, and they really tried to have a child, and they just couldn't. God was preventing him. God was stopping from him, most likely because, he was afraid that, or he was like, you know what, if you have a child, you're not going to be able to do the things that I need you to do when you do them. So it says, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall come from her. So it's saying your sons are going to be kings, and she shall be the mother of all nations, which is because if Abram's going to be the king of all nations, she's going to be the mother of all nations. Then Abraham, after hearing this, then Abraham fell on his face and laughed. He laughed and said to himself, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? Because I think, I don't know, I could feel it. I could when I'm reading this stuff, I could see, it's been so long. He's just like, come on, man. He's like, I wanted to have a child, especially back then at this time, and even to this day, children are super important. Everybody needs an heir. Everybody wants to have a child. They want to have a greater purpose. And on top of that, back then things were very difficult, and children could help you on the farm, raise money, it was needed for survival. Now, in 2025, you don't really need a child to survive because of the world that we live in. But back then, it was. Um, so he fell down on his knees. He laughed. He said, "Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old?" Because he's about to be 100, right? And I'm curious. Like, obviously, I know back then these people lived a lot longer, but I wonder what like uh like when Noah lived to 950 years old, what did he look like whenever he was 170? Because if I look at somebody who's 100 today, they're old. Like you can see the wrinkles. Oh, you could even if you see like people who are like, there's guys who lose hair and there's people that grow gray hair and they get wrinkles and baggy eyes. So when they're 100, they're like kind of like chopped liver. So I couldn't imagine, but I think I think they just aged very slowly. But he's saying, look, let me go back to what was that. Yeah, so shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abram said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live." Oh, and Abram said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live in thy sight." God said, "No. But Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac." Okay. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. So he's saying, I will establish my covenant with him. Just like the Lord came to Abram and said, I'm making my covenant with you. And he promised him, your descendants as well. Isaac will be his first descendant, his first heir. So he's saying, I'm going to give it to Isaac now. With him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, because he's probably thinking of it like, what about Ishmael? I had Ishmael 13 years ago. Because he's saying, remember back then, he says, and Abraham said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live in thy sight." So he's saying, well, what about Ishmael? You're telling me this thing how Sarah's gonna have a child, this and that, but what about Ishmael? Because if Ishmael is my son, but then now you're gonna give Sarah, who's my first wife, a son, there's gonna be problems, right? On who's gonna be my heir to my throne. So it says, as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I will bless him and make him fruitful and multiply him exceedingly. He shall be the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac. So he's saying, look, I get it. I hear you. You're talking about Ishmael. You're right. It's fair. I will make him a king on his own. He will be a king of a nation. Abram's going to be a king of nations. He will have 12 princes with him. But he's saying, but I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this season next year. When he had finished talking with God, when he had finished talking with him, God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all the slaves born in his house are bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very day. Imagine that day. That was a weird day. Imagine grabbing another man's grunt. Because he said, the Lord said, if you're walking with your descendants, your nations, you're walking with me, you gotta chop it off, circumcise it, cut it up. Whether they're born from you, whether you bought them with your money as slaves, whether they're your workers, everybody. And if they're not, then they're not part of the party. They're not part of the covenant. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all the slaves born in his house are bought with his money, all with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins from their penis that very day, as God has said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. 99 years old, but he was circumcised. I mean, I get it, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised. And all the men in his house, those born in the house and those bought with his money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. So that's it for chapter 17, I think, right? Yeah, chapter 17, pretty interesting. The Lord came down to Abram. It's been 13 years. He came to him and talked to him. He said, look, okay, I know I talked all this talk. All right, let's get it. He's like, you've been a faithful, righteous man. Come with me, walk with me. And he told him, I'm going to make a covenant with you. This is the new covenant I'm making with you to this day. Your name will no longer be Abram, it will be called Abraham. I will give you nations that will be your descendants, that will be blessed beyond belief. nations that are very fruitful, beautiful, multitude of nations, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you. And he's saying, it'll be an everlasting covenant. And he's saying that I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojournings. So he's saying your people that will be slaves for 400 years. But after that, all the land of Canaan, okay, and for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And he's saying, look, because I'm making this new covenant with you, this is something different. I want everybody that rose with God, is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be like everybody else. This is my covenant, and you're going to have to be circumcised. Anybody that's born on the 8th day, they're going to have to be circumcised. And everybody right now that's still living, circumcise them right now. So he did what he wanted. He did what God told him. And you could say that's the beginning of his. But that's the beginning of his nation. I guess, or to a degree, the beginning of his own. You could say people. Where they're all circumcised. Back then, there wasn't no such thing like that. People never circumcised their children. Now some people do it. It's kind of whether you're Jew or not Jew. And obviously, when we're talking about people and this and that, it's the Jews. But yeah, so it's just like real quick before we close it out. It's it's a way of God saying you're gonna be a little bit different because you are different because you're with me. So that's it for chapter 17. Pretty interesting. I'll come back for chapter 18 and to figure out what's going on with the continuation of the story. So thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a good night.